Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
This is Mom and this is Millennial and Mom. And we are here to recap Married at First Sight Season 12, Episode 5, Love is Magic. And maybe love is magic for some people in this episode, but for other people, I have a problem. Once again, but you know what? We're not even going to start on that part first. Well, actually we are, because that's who it actually starts on first.
Yeah, we see producers talk with Chris about this ongoing problem, this nagging issue that he's been having since, I don't know, they got married.
3 days ago. I just want to emphasize, because for some reason this season seems like it's been a long journey already, and it's only episode 5. I don't know why I felt like it was episode 8.
I think I said that from the beginning. I'm like, what is this, like episode 55?
But everything that has happened so far has transpired within 3 days.
Yes.
So keep going, Mom. I had to emphasize that.
Yeah, so anyways, the producers meet up with Chris, like I said, to talk about a nagging issue, a nagging problem that's going on that's stressing Chris out. And they're saying, so you going to tell her? Is she going to know? And he's like, no, I don't want to tell her right now and all this other stuff. I'm like, just tell her because she's going to find out eventually.
But tell her what, though?
We don't know just yet. So next we see, they said, you know, the other couples come. And we see them getting ready in the morning to go on their activities to see how, you know, how their day is going to be planned and what they're going to do. Clara and Ryan's excited for the upcoming things. You know, for anyone on this trip that's excited about being in Vegas, it is Clara and Ryan.
But my thing is, yeah, they're excited to be in Vegas. And if you don't know who watched this reviews, we live in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And during this whole COVID time, even still now, nothing is really open. So I'm like, where are they going for fun that's open?
Well, I'm sure they had like a special permit. I mean, they was in the Mandalay Bay, and then we see them at the Mirage.
Special permit. You know our governor don't play. We see them basically going to the shark reef and stuff, and I'm like,
the shark reef is inside the Mandalay Bay, around the corner in the back, for those of you who don't know. And then we see them going to the Mirage, which is about 5 minutes to the left down the street. And then later on you see, what's her name? Eric and Virginia sitting outside the Bellagio fountains, which really is cold at night, to be honest. And
that weren't even open.
But at least it's on the same block.
COVID. That just opened up during this time.
It's on the same block. But regardless, the couples
they didn't do nothing.
Excited for their day, minus Chris and Paige. And you know what? It's starting to feel like this is the Chris and Paige Married at First Sight show, and everybody else are just characters or just people that play along.
Just the features.
Yeah, like Broadway actors or something. Like, this is really
don't give them too much credit.
Becoming, I'm talking about everyone else.
They're not Broadway actors.
Getting, you know, less than the time that they deserve.
Time.
You know, and I don't. It's really distracting. For me, is it distracting for you?
It's not distracting. It's just for those who are like hardcore Married at First Sight fans, like me and Mom. It's not as fun or entertaining to watch. But if you're like a newcomer to Married at First Sight, maybe started at season 10, 11, or maybe this is your first season, maybe, I'm just saying, in my opinion, maybe you might find this to be entertaining, but it's not really entertaining. It's actually quite sad. Especially, let's just dive into Chris and Paige and that whole debacle.
Okay.
So Chris decides to tell Paige, but he pulls her to the bathroom, runs a shower, so we wouldn't hear anything.
Yeah, but before he takes her to the shower, they're at breakfast. I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. You're actually having breakfast in the room. You didn't dip out and be like, oh, you know, I'm having another panic attack. So I give him props for that. But very small. No, but very small.
I'm not giving him any more props. But I'm sorry. I really was trying to be, you know,
objective.
Yes, and trying to be fair for Chris. But I honestly, this is episode 5. I can't find anything.
It's the way that Chris has gone about beating around the bush to tell her, like, do you really want to know? Like, what do you mean, do I really want to know? You're stressed out. I can see that you're stressed. We're on day 3 of the marriage. We're still trying to get to know each other. And you're dropping bombs on me? So when he finally takes her to the bathroom, take off your mic, and turn on the shower water so people can't hear the secret. When he comes out, she's like, oh, well, she needs a moment. Of course she needs a moment. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? You know, he comes across like he's nonchalant, but I can see he's torn up on the inside. But is he torn up because he's hurting Paige, or is he torn up because he's hurting his former flame, or what's happening in his life, or how he's going to go forward or move on? I don't get it.
I think from what I'm seeing of Chris is more so torn up because he don't want this for himself. It's not about Paige. It's not about his ex-fiance or whomever he may have got pregnant, because there's different rumors going around. But so far, it's his ex-fiance. I, for some reason, don't think he really cares about that. I only think Chris cares about Chris because he is a strong narcissist. And anyone who defends him, I honestly don't really know how you can still defend him at this point. Because this right here is just, it's too much. And it's too much to the point where now I'm even side-eyeing the experts really hard. Like, okay, you didn't know that this was going to happen with Chris. You know, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew he was engaged 3 months ago. Why would you think this was a good decision for him to be on the show and he was just previously engaged 3 months ago?
You're right. He was just engaged 3 months ago, but he was previously in another relationship prior to that was also short-lived and close together. So to me, it's like, you know, if you were in a serious relationship, engaged or not, you need at least a year in between before you're even accepted into Married at First Sight. But that's just me. I'm not an expert yet. Now, when Paige does come out, she gets herself together and she goes to see Brianna. And she tells Brianna the news, and vice versa. Vincent goes sees Chris, and they each hear the news from, you know, each other. And Brianna is saying to Paige, well, what are you going to do? What do you think is going to happen? And how far along is she? Just the regular questions that, you know, you'd ask. And it turns out Chris's ex-fiance is 6 weeks pregnant. Now, ladies, if you've ever been pregnant before, you know your first missed period, TMI, is 6 weeks. That's when you find out.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I don't know. So let me say,
Well, you're usually about 6 weeks along. And so, you know, that's pretty recent. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the thing with Brianna, she was trying to encourage Paige because she was like, you know, this is new. We're in the process together. You know, not trying to put words in her mouth about what you should do. But at the end, we do find out that Brianna and Vincent both say, you know, peace out. You know.
Yeah, they say peace out. But when Chris was sitting down with Vincent, let me look at my notes from what I have. Chris said, you know, this is disturbing news. Like, okay, disturbing news for who? For you and your image? I mean, what did you think was going to happen when you're with someone who was someone that you wanted to be engaged to and you have unprotected sex with them? What do you honestly think is going to happen? But you know what? I'm letting him live on that one. And then Vincent asks Chris, like, well, if you work with Paige, would you still try, you know, would you want to work this out? He was like, yeah, I would, you know, want to work this out because he wants to have a family. And this just, once again, just revolves right on back around to why the experts had this man on the show and he was literally just engaged 3 months ago. Why did this happen?
I mean, again, they don't really know everything that's going on in people's personal lives, whether
They
it be Chris
don't
or
know,
whoever, but they can only go by what you give them. But I think that the vetting process should be a little bit more clear because, as mentioned, if you just came out of a relationship, you need to be, in my opinion, out of for at least a year before you can even qualify to be on the show. Because if not, then they can move on and find someone else who's a more compatible match. So after all that's said and done, then we finally see the other couples. So let's just touch on the other couples before we get back into Paige and Chris at dinner later on.
Yes. So Virginia and Eric, they look like they're really hitting it off. I didn't really see it for them, but their whole interaction this episode with their dates, they're talking about their age differences, but Eric always seems to have like a little calming factor for Virginia. Like, you know, yeah, I'm a little bit older than you, but we can work through this. We can do this. We can do that. And Virginia, you know, she's really going with the flow. And she wasn't drinking as heavy from what I saw this episode. She was just drinking to have fun, and Eric was having fun with her too. So maybe this couple can actually work out, because later on, even when we see them going back to the Chris and Paige, all that other stuff, when all the couples meet up, they look like they're actually having fun. So I was like, okay, well, maybe. I still think she's a little bit too much of a partier for Eric. But you know what? Maybe as time goes along, she will settle down and be with Eric.
But that conversation comes up with them during their day activity at the pool, and later on at the evening when they're having dinner. He keeps saying, you know, I'm a little older than you, I'm a little bit more established. So he's trying to let her know, I know that you're still a partier, this is still what you do, but I'm here for you. Like, I'm stable. Like, I don't need to be doing all of that. I understand you, I'm gonna work with you, but you know, I think he was trying to tell her, like, maybe you're married now, reel it back in. And the reason why I say that is because they had a conversation about, can men and women be friends? And she's like, yes, they can. Yes, they can. You know, I think they can too, to a point. But as women, that's what we think. Every man I know has always said no. And Eric says no too. And he's like, you know, because if a man's interested in you and is a friend, maybe he also looks at you, you know, in a way that could be sexual too. And then when Virginia heard that, she looked at him kind of like, So I saw that little immaturity factor come out from her when she's like, really? Like, not my friends, they wouldn't do that. Of course they would. They would do that. Just if they're attracted to you, they would. So again, I still think he's trying to let her know, listen.
I think men and women can be friends.
I think they can too, but like I said, most men don't think you can. But I just want...
Well, you was out there trapping.
No, I wasn't. But I think that he's telling her this again to let her know, listen, I'm here. I'm stable. Because that's what we keep hearing from him. I'm stable. I got you no matter what. But calm it down, kind of.
Let's move on to Jacob and Haley. Now, with Jacob and Haley, they did have their little dates. They were definitely at the Shark Reef as well. But Jacob seems like he's more into Haley more than Haley is into Jacob. I mean, despite the whole questions that was being asked.
That's so obvious,
and
though.
Haley's face like,
No,
yeah.
But just the way he has his eye on her. Through conversation, chit chat, everything. It's like,
I mean, it's not creepy yet. He's just trying to be engaged with her. That's what I feel like.
I didn't say it was creepy. Like, his eye, like, I see you, girl.
He's just trying to be engaging with Haley, and Haley is not really giving the reciprocation back. And as you can see throughout the episode, Jacob's starting to feel that. He's starting to feel the vibe and starting to sense it a little bit. And it's already has his little third eye, that he was given on Haley, because she really doesn't give that much interaction, and all the conversation that she probably gets is from production, because we already know how production does at this point.
But this is what I want to say about Haley and Jacob. When they had their lunch date, when they had it, and he was like eating a raw onion, and I was like, how did they even get on the conversation of raw onion? Like, but Jacob says a lot of little,
because Jacob is random.
He is random. He says a lot of little quirky things. She's like, oh no, I don't think so. But I thought they really may have had a small connection on the exercise things, because we know he likes to exercise, because one of the things he wants to do while on his honeymoon is find the gym, but there's gyms in all hotels anyways. And she's like, well, I'm into yoga. I'm like, well, at least they can like try to mix and match.
Absolutely,
I guess
not, because we can go back to a couple seasons where people had little things in common and they didn't mix and match method. They was some mixed match socks. That's what they was. Not compatible, period.
I guess. Well, now we have Clara and Ryan, and they are...
Well, what did you see with Clara and Ryan? Because I saw nothing with Clara and Ryan.
Well, when they were at the dolphin habitat at the Mirage, and you know what? I'm surprised that they didn't go in to see the tigers, but was that close to?
Child, everything's closed.
It was close. But you know what? When they went to sit down to watch through the aquarium, one thing that they have that the other couples haven't necessarily had just yet is a serious conversation about children. That seems to come up quite a bit, because I think in the back of Clara's mind is that she knows that his family, Ryan's family, is from a true religious background, and that family wants to raise kids and grandkids in the way of that particular, whatever their denomination is, stuff like that. And when she asked Ryan, like, do you want our kids to be in a church? He's like, yeah, I do. She's like, well, you know, I don't know, because I don't want to force it on them. So she keeps saying that. So I think that's going to be their crutch or clutch for when it comes back around to it, for when they do decide to have kids, or if they make it, you know, how's that going to relate to their life? So I think they're having real life conversations. That's what I get from
instead
them.
of just surface level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that, but I still don't think a lot was going on with Clara and Ryan.
No.
Just yet. Maybe as the episodes go on and the Chris and Paige saga kind of dies down, even though it's kind of not going to, it will reveal itself. But I didn't really see too much with that.
No, but one thing that I do know, and I've heard, I should say, not I know, I heard, that Ryan, he said he's scheduled and prioritized and is organized. Didn't I say that last week about, you know, first thing I recognized was she was unorganized? I got that. And Ryan got that too, because she said, yeah, I'm messy. I leave dishes. And I was with you on that, Ryan. I was like, Lord, I'm not going to be able to do this. But then Clara said, you know, I can tell you haven't lived with somebody because, you know, it doesn't seem like, you know, you would need or like people in your space. I'm thinking, he's like, probably thinking like, none of you unorganized. We got that from before you came to Vegas.
Well, if you're in a hotel, you don't need to be organized. You could just live how you want to live in a hotel room.
Well, that's the problem.
So then we see our good old trusty pals, Paige and Chris, have their dinner. And Chris is so funny to me. I don't know why he's making me laugh. Maybe I have to keep laughing from wanting to say not nice words about him, because they were at the dinner and Chris was like, so what do you want to talk about? Just all nonchalant. Like, are you serious, Chris? Chris would have had me messed up. I'm sorry. Chris would have had me messed up entirely, because it has been 3 days.
That's it.
First day, we had the marriage. Your daddy was doing too much and all that stuff.
Don't even go into all the things.
I'm not. Second day, we had relations twice. I know we got this messed up in the last video, but then, you know, you went out a little bit because you had a panic attack. So he says to get me, you didn't come back for a few hours. Then you came back and you told me after we boom boom twice, you weren't attracted to me.
So you're going into detail.
And then the third day, I find out that your ex-fiance is 6 weeks pregnant, and you asking me what's on my mind? What do you have to say about this?
Well, I'm gonna need you to settle down just a little bit, because it's not you. You're not Paige, but I get the reasons why. But he did ask her, "What do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "What do you mean? You know what's on the table. The elephant has crushed the room. You know." So she's like, well, I'll let you lead. So once he led, he went into detail about he just found out this and that. And then he went on to say, I apologize to you because you had 2 hits on you. And I'm like, what's the 2 hits? Because the first hit was what? I'm not attracted to you. And the second hit was clearly this pregnancy. But he did go on to say that, you know, I told my fiance I'm married now. Oh, I didn't mean to laugh. I laughed to stop from crying. I'm like, yeah, because all you've been doing is crying because you're immature. You don't even know how to lead with adult conversation without getting mad and poking your lip out.
Yes, and Paige, I appreciate that she is, you know, serving
The
her
Lord.
God and her Lord and all this stuff. And yes, we believe in that too. But everything can't always relate to, this is what God has planned for me. This is it. And, you know, we had vows and I'm just going to keep going with this. This is 3 days. He's still a stranger. Everything like this is happening. And as my mom has always told me and my brother, the devil has soldiers too. And this right here, I just don't see this as God's plan anymore. Maybe God's plan is to help you lead in the right direction, but this definitely has some devil tactics in it, because it's too much, and I just don't understand what's going on and why we're seeing this on this show. Like, it's really bothering me at this point, because it's just seems like it's getting worse and worse as the episodes progress. And I just don't want that for Paige and for Chris, because this could be a lot for him too. Not trying to knock it, because, you know, maybe he really did want to be on Married at First Sight to find love and all this other stuff, but he's just leading in the wrong direction. So maybe when he sees these episodes, it will have him take a step back and realize that he needs to change for the better.
I really do hope he does have a change for the better and learns to do better and matures a little bit more, because right now what we're seeing, this isn't it. Him apologizing to her, and it's like, well, maybe you could be a stepmom and all this other stuff. And she went on to explain how she was a stepmom in her last relationship too, and how she was there for the child and all that stuff. I'm like, so this seems,
I kickboxed the TV when I heard that.
so this seems to be perhaps a pattern that
For
you're
Chris
experiencing
or for Paige?
in your life as well for Paige. And sometimes patterns need to be broken, and it needs to be broken on both ends. So they decide that they were going to start fresh and go from there. So we'll have to see. Now, then we moved to Brianna and Vincent's dinner at the Manly Beach. And I thought that was sweet. He picked her up and carried her. And they both seem to have the most vibe of everybody. You can see by the look in their eye. And I've always said you can tell how a man or a woman feels about you by the way they look at you. And they have that look so far for right now. I can see a lot of potential with them. So they give me hope for this season. They give me hope for all the couples coming up because of all the extra baggage we have from another couple. But now we have all the couples in the evening meet up for drinks and say how things are going so far. So far, again, it's only day 3. You would think it's like week
Day 96.
4 or 5 or something. But how things are going. And, you know, everyone's talking about, oh, you know, I feel it's a good match. We're getting along. And, of course, you know, the questions come up later of who consummated what. There's always someone in the group who wants to know who consummated. I just don't think that's really a question really for everybody. I mean, if you want to whisper in the group, I guess.
Well, it's a production question. We know when it happens. But just moving on from all the niceness that was going on, Chris and Paige decided to drop the bombshell and let them know, well, for those who were there, because Eric and Virginia wasn't there yet, about what has happened so far, about him and his ex-fiance about to have a baby on the way. And everyone's face was shocked. They were like, sir, this is only day 3.
Exactly.
This is too much. And I'm like, yes, it is.
But the thing was, in Clara's confessional, she's like, you know what? She's like, dude, this is too much. Like, I will be out. So really the consensus is I will be out. But Haley is the one who's giving encouragement too. Like, we're here for you. We got your back. Now, they all said that we're here for you. Got your back. But Christic is like, oh, well, they got her back. And I don't really feel that way. So he whispered whatever in her ear, got up to leave and go have another lip poke out on the sofa, because it's not about me right now. It's about Paige. I want to see Paige happy. They want to see Paige happy, but that's true.
But why is he crying though? Why does he think it should be sympathy towards him? What sympathy? I mean, maybe, I don't know. I can't find any sympathy. I was going to say maybe, and I'm usually a maybe type of person, but there's really no sympathy. It's really towards Paige, because Paige has been blindsided through all of this, because he was still having relations with his ex-fiance while he knew he was about to be on the show, because there's no way you can tell me he didn't know 6-7 weeks ago that he was going to be on the show.
Well, that's true. That may not be true, but still, everyone says they will have your back regardless. Hers, and they threw in him too, because they're a couple. They're both here for this process. And so when Virginia and Eric came and the story was retold again about what happened with the fiance and stuff like that, they were looking like, what, for real? But then Virginia was like, but is it yours? And he was like,
well, do you think their questions were really that invasive?
it could have been worded just a little bit different, because the way Virginia said it's kind of come off like, oh, so is it yours? Like, you know, I said my ex-fiance was pregnant.
Well, I guess we see now where the little debacle is going to be with Eric and Chris down the line. So it will be very interesting, because I think Eric's going to be here for all the smoke and not going to let Chris try to quote unquote punk him, and then Chris go back in the corner crying or whatever he usually does best that we've seen so far, because that's all we basically seen. And that was pretty much the whole episode. Once again, it was the Chris and the Paige show, but I'm really happy that we got to see the other couples and their dates, and we're really starting to see some of them evolve.
Yeah, their personalities.
We're starting to see some of them stay stagnant, and we're starting to see some of them decrease. So I'm really excited to see the other couples and to also see what's going to happen with Chris and Paige and all that other stuff in the baby mama coming soon, because that has definitely been the hottest tea on all the YouTube streets and the Facebook streets. So I'm ready for that. What are you ready for?
Yeah, I'm ready for it too.
Everything I just said. So let us know what you guys feel about this episode in the comments down below. And thank you all so much for watching. If you're new to our channel, thank you so much for sticking around and subscribing. If you've been on this channel before, thank you so much for being here. This Saturday, we are going to go live with the JasVynce Show to talk about Married at First Sight. So come join us, come discuss this Chris and Paige and all these other people, whatever you got, any tea, but no spoilers because we don't like spoilers, to our live on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time because we are in Vegas, or I believe it's 2 p.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time if you're on the East Coast. So come join us.
Thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.